Ethan checked the blinking signal again. It was weak but steady. The cargo ship he worked on, the Nova Trail, had picked it up while moving past an unmarked moon. The signal was old-style emergency code, not human, but universal enough to be. Understood, he turned to the captain. This could be a distress beacon. The captain shook his head. Not our problem, Ethan. We don't get paid to play hero. Ethan didn't like that answer. Something about the signal felt urgent. He looked at the screen again. The beacon's frequency was low, probably coming from a damaged ship. He made a quick decision. I'll take the scout pod, he said. Just a short jump to check. If it's nothing, I'll be back in 30 minutes. The captain grumbled, but gave a tired nod. Fine, don't die. The scout pod was small and fast. Ethan launched it toward the jungle-covered moon. Clouds wrapped the planet like thick smoke, and lightning cracked across the sky. He landed roughly near the signal's source. Trees the size of buildings surrounded him, and the air was hot and heavy. He grabbed a scanner and followed the signal. A few minutes later, he found a crashed ship half buried in thick vines and smoking dirt. The craft was sleek, silver, and marked with symbols he didn't recognize. One side had a deep gash. The emergency light blinked slowly. He climbed inside through a broken hatch. The inside smelled of burned metal and blood, and then he saw her. Lying on the floor was a tall, silver-skinned alien girl. Her uniform was torn and stained with dark blue blood. She had long white hair tangled around her face and soft green markings. Across her forehead, she was unconscious, her breathing shallow. Her chest rose weakly, and her hand clutched a small device, probably the beacon. Ethan froze. She wasn't just any alien. Her suit had royal markings. He'd seen pictures of similar symbols in alien briefings. She was some kind of princess, or high-ranking noble. His heart pounded. He knew the rules. Humans weren't supposed to interfere in royal alien matters, especially with unknown species. But she was dying. He checked her vitals. Weak pulse. It's dropping fast. Her blood loss was too much. She needed a transfusion. His med kit had emergency plasma, but it wouldn't match her biology. Then he saw something else, a strange device with 2 tubes, one connected to her arm and another empty port. Next to it, a scanner showed blood types. It had scanned him automatically when he entered. He stared at the result. Incompatible, but possible. What did that mean? Human blood couldn't match alien blood. But the machine gave a 1% survival chance if used immediately. No one would risk it, he whispered. But she'll die if I don't. He sat beside her, connected the tube to his arm, and let the device begin the transfusion. Pain hit him instantly. His vision blurred. His blood flowed into the machine through filters and into her. As the transfer went on, he grew colder. Sweat rolled down his face. Tried to stay conscious. The alien girl's breathing steadied. Her face relaxed. Her body stopped shaking. Ethan smiled faintly. It's working. His vision darkened. He couldn't move his arms. The last thing he saw before blacking out was her fingers twitching. Then her eyes fluttered open, bright green and glowing. She looked at him. Not confused. Not afraid. Just focused, like she knew him. Ethan awoke to a soft hum and warm light. He blinked slowly. Above him was a white ceiling with golden curves, no longer the broken ship. He tried to sit up but found his body heavy. A soft voice spoke. Don't move too fast. You lost a lot of blood. He turned his head and saw Hertha, alien girl, now dressed in a glowing robe, her wounds gone. She sat beside him, calm and graceful. You're awake, she said softly. You survived, Ethan muttered. Because of you, she said. He tried to speak, but felt dizzy. Where am I? My ship. What's left of it? After I woke, I called a rescue beacon and brought you here. She gently touched his wrist. Her hand was cool, but comforting. Why did you help me? Athens stared at her. We're dying. I couldn't just walk away. She looked down, thoughtful. Among my people, royal blood is sacred. None may share it, none may touch it. He blinked. Then I broke your law. You saved my life. That is something far more powerful than any law. They sat in silence. Outside, stars moved past a curved window. The ship was in low orbit now. She spoke again. My name is Lysera, daughter of House Vorin, and you are Atitham. Just a technician, nobody important. You are wrong. You are important now. Something happened when our blood mixed. I can feel things I've never felt before, hear things, see strange memories. Ethan frowned. Memories? Yes. Yours. He stared at her. That's not possible, perhaps, but it happened. She stood and turned toward the window. Your blood changed me, Ethan. I think the galaxy will not like what comes next. Ethan sat up slowly, his muscles sore and his body weak. He looked around the new room walls of smooth white metal, glowing lights and floating symbols he couldn't read. It didn't look like any human medical bay he had seen. It was quiet except for a soft humming sound, like a heartbeat running through the ship. Lysera walked into the room again. She looked calm, but her eyes had a strange glow. They weren't just green anymore. A faint golden light moved within them, like something inside her had awakened. You should rest more, she said gently. Your body's not fully healed. Ethan gave a weak smile. I've had worse. Just not this weird. She sat on a chair beside his bed and stared at him, not in a cold way, but as if she was still trying to understand something. What? You did, she said. Should not have worked. Human blood should have killed me. But not only did I survive, I feel different. Stronger. Faster. Like something inside me opened. Ethan looked confused. Opened. Lysera nodded. I can hear things. Not with ears, but in my mind. And I saw your memories only flashes, but they were real. Your childhood on Earth, your sister's birthday, and even the moment you chose to give me your blood. Ethan sat still. His heart beat faster. How could you see all that? I don't know, she said quietly. But it began when our blood mixed. Maybe it's because I'm royal. Maybe because you were willing to risk your life for me. Ethan frowned. So now what? You just have my memories living in your head? Not all. Just some. That's not the real problem. She stood up and turned toward a screen on the wall. With a wave of her hand, it showed a map of stars, with blinking red lights across several systems. My people have picked up the signal from the crash. They know someone rescued me. They know someone gave me aid, and they know I've changed. Why? Is that bad? Ethan asked. .lys era side. Because my people fear change, especially when it touches royal blood. They will not understand this. They will see it as dangerous. They will want to control me or destroy me. Ethan blinked. So you're saying we're in trouble? Yes, she said. And they are already coming. Just then, the ship shook. The lights dimmed for a moment, and a loud voice echoed through the room in her language. She tapped a panel quickly and read the message. A patrol ship has found us, she said. They are scanning our vessel. If they confirm that I am aboard, they will try to take me. Can't we talk to them? Explain? No, not in time. Not like this. Ethan slowly stood, using the bed for support. Then let's get out of here. Lysera hesitated. There's an escape pod, but once we use it, they'll trace our path. We'll need a plan. Ethan nodded. Do you have coordinates for somewhere safe? Maybe a world called Narian, quiet trade port. They have no interest in royal bloodlines, but we'll have to move fast. They hurried down the corridor of the ship. Everything was smooth and clean, but warning lights flashed across the walls. Lysera guided him through narrow halls until they reached the pod, small, sleek, and just big enough for 2 people. She helped Ethan into the seat and locked the hatch. Outside, 2 alien patrol ships were already landing near the crash site. Searchlights moved across the trees. Hold. On, she said, and pressed the launch command. The pod fired into the sky, breaking through the jungle's thick clouds. Ethan clenched his jaw as G-forces pushed them back. The pod's engines hummed, quiet but powerful. They entered space within seconds. But the radar screen showed 2 dots following them enemy ships. "They're coming after us," Ethan said. No, Lysera answered. "I'll try something." She closed her eyes and placed her hand on the control panel. The ship's energy systems responded strangely. The engines grew louder, and the pod made a sharp jump to the left, dodging a blast from one of the enemy ships. Ethan stared in shock. "What? Did you do?" "I don't know," she whispered. "But the ship listened to me. It moved before I touched the controls." They reached the outer edge of the moon's orbit. Lysera opened a map and set coordinates for Narian. Her hands moved fast, typing commands while her mind focused on staying ahead of their pursuers. Then, without warning, the pod entered a warp tunnel. Stars stretched into long lines, and space around them blurred. They were safe for now. Ethan sat back, breathing heavily. "What just happened back there? You made the ship dodge. Without controls?" She looked at her hands. "Maybe I connected to it. Maybe the blood gave me more than just strength." "That's not normal," Ethan said. "No," Lysera agreed. "Nothing about this is—" They sat in silence for a while as the pod flew through warp space. Soft lights blinked on the control board. Outside, space shimmered with colors neither of them had names for. Finally, Ethan spoke. "Why me?" Lysera looked at him. "Why would your body react to my blood? Why did it work when it shouldn't? And why are you seeing my memories?" "I'm just a technician, a nobody." She gave him a soft smile. "You're not a nobody, Ethan. You saved me when no one else would. You risked yourself, and maybe. That means more than bloodlines or titles. Maybe this was meant to happen." Ethan didn't know what to say, so he just sat there, watching stars rush by, wondering what kind of storm they were heading into. And somewhere, deep inside Lysera's mind, a voice she didn't recognize whispered a single word: bonded. The pod shook slightly as it came out of warp space. Ahead of them was Narian, a quiet world with dusty skies and busy trade routes. Several ships moved in and out of orbit, but none looked dangerous. This place was full of old traders, broken cargo ships, and people who didn't ask questions. Lysera leaned forward and adjusted the pod's signature. She pressed a button and spoke in a calm voice, transmitting false identity code. "This should let us enter without raising alarms." Ethan nodded. He still felt weak from the blood loss, but his mind was alert. "Do you think your people will follow us here?" "Maybe," she said, "but they won't act openly. This planet doesn't follow the Empire's rules. If they want to catch me, they'll send hunters in secret." Ethan looked out the small window. Narian's surface was dry and red, like a desert. Large metal towers rose above the sand, each holding spaceports, markets, and shelters. The pod landed with a soft thud. Dust swirled around them as the doors opened. It rushed in. "Stay close," Lysera said. She wore a dark cloak now, hiding her royal symbols. She handed Ethan a similar one. "Don't speak too much. Just walk." They stepped into the noisy city. Strange smells filled the air: metal, fuel, cooked meat, and dry sand. Aliens of all kinds walked around, some tall with scales, others small with glowing eyes. Traders shouted at passing customers, and machines rolled through the streets. No one paid attention to Ethan and Lysera. In this place, everyone had secrets. They found a small repair shop and paid a grumpy old alien for a private back room. The moment the door shut, Lysera locked the controls. Ethan sat on a crate, wiping sweat from his forehead. "This place smells like engine oil and feet." Lysera smiled a little. "Welcome to Narian." She turned serious again and placed a small metal box on the table. It lit up with a soft blue glow. Ethan leaned in. "What's that?" "This holds records from my family's old vault. May have answers about what happened between us. There are old files about forbidden knowledge things our empire tried to erase." The screen showed text and images in her language. Lysera's eyes moved fast as she read. Her face changed slowly from calm, too surprised, then too worried. "What is it?" There was a prophecy, she said. Something told. In secret generations ago, it spoke of a time when the royal bloodline would reach its limit. And then, someone from outside the Empire would awaken a new path by giving part of themselves. Ethan frowned. You think that's me? It fits, she said. A human. A royal. Bonded by blood during a moment of choice. And look, she showed him a drawing. It looked ancient. Two figures stood together, holding hands. One looked like a royal, the other more like a human. Above them was a symbol that glowed faintly. The same glow now pulsed from her own. Palm. Ethan stared. So this was all written long ago? Yes, the Empire hid it. They feared change, feared losing control. Before Ethan could answer, a loud sound echoed through the wall. Footsteps, heavy and close. Lysera turned off the box and grabbed a small device from her belt. Someone's here. A blast rocked the side of the building. A dust fell from the ceiling. The door burst open, and two armored figures stepped in tall, faceless. And fast. Ethan grabbed a metal rod from the floor, but Lysera moved first. She raised her hand, and a sudden wave of energy burst out. Both attackers flew backward, crashing into the wall. Ethan stared. You just pushed them without touching them. Lysera breathed heavily. That's new. Yeah, we didn't have powers before, did you? Not like this? Something's growing. Fast. They ran out the back door and into the narrow streets. Alarms blared behind them. Other traders looked around, confused but not shocked. Narian was used to trouble. They ducked into an old tunnel beneath the city. The walls were cracked and steam hissed from pipes. Ethan stopped to catch his breath. Why are they still after? You're not even trying to claim your throne. They don't care, she said. To them, my existence now threatens the order. If others see what happened to me, they might question everything. So what do we do? He asked. We find someone who can help. I know of a contact, an old royal scholar who escaped years ago. If anyone knows the truth behind the prophecy, it's him. They reached the end of the tunnel where an old shuttle waited. It looked half broken but had just enough fuel. Where is this scholar? Ethan asked. A planet called Devaria. Far from here. It's not safe, but we have no choice. They climbed inside and started the engines. As the ship rose, another blast hit the wall behind them. More hunters were coming. Lysera focused, and, again, the ship moved faster than its system should allow. Escaped just in time. Inside the small cabin, Ethan looked at her. What's happening to you, Lysera? She looked down at her hands. I don't know. But I think you changed something inside me. And now the galaxy is starting to notice. The shuttle flew through deep space, quiet and dim inside. Ethan sat near the front window, staring out at the stars. He still felt like none of this was real. Just a few days ago, he was a simple technician. Now, he was running from an alien. Empire with a royal princess who had powers no one could explain. Lysera sat across from him, holding the ancient box again. It glowed softly in her lap. Every few minutes, she would open it, check the data, and close it again. She looked worried. What's bothering you? Ethan asked. The prophecy, she said. The more I read, the more strange it becomes. It speaks of a bond that connects to bloodlines. But also something more. Like what? A change. A shift in power. A warning. It says the bond may bring peace or destroy the old empires. Ethan frowned. So we could be a threat. Just by existing? Lysera nodded. Yes. And that's why they want to stop us. They reached Devaria after 2 more jumps. The planet was covered in deep green forests and silver lakes. The air was clean and birds with shining feathers flew through the sky. It felt peaceful. Almost too peaceful. They landed near an old temple hidden in the woods. Trees had grown around the structure, and vines covered its walls. A few stone steps led to a doorway. This is where he lives? Ethan asked. Yes, Lysera replied. He was once my family's advisor. He left when he refused to follow the council's orders. They called him a traitor. They walked up the steps and knocked. No one answered. Lysera placed her hand on a symbol beside the door. It glowed briefly, then opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the temple was filled with scrolls, books, and floating lights. Old machines lined the walls. Soft music played in the background. An old alien stepped forward, tall and thin with white robes and pale blue skin. His eyes were tired, but when he saw Lysera, he smiled. "Princess," he said. "I feared. They had taken you, not yet," she said. "I need your help, Zethar." He looked at Ethan next. "And this is the one." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" Zethar didn't answer. He motioned them to sit. "Come, there's much to explain." They sat around a low table. Zethar lit a small device that showed images in the air drawings from long ago. The prophecy was not just about blood, he said. It was about connection. 2 souls from different stars. One royal, one outsider. When their blood joined, the old systems would begin to crack. "Why?" Ethan asked. "What does blood have to do with anything?" Zethar looked at him carefully. "Because your blood is not just human anymore. Your ancestors may have touched something ancient, something even the Empire never understood." Lysera leaned forward. "You're saying his blood has a purpose?" "Yes, it was never random. This was meant to happen." Ethan shook his head. "But I'm no one. I didn't plan any of this." "True. But destiny does not ask permission," Zethar said. Lysera opened her hand. A glow came from her palm, soft golden light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "This started after he saved me," she said. "And now I can move objects, feel emotions, even hear thoughts." "You are becoming something new," Zethar said. "A bridge between species. And bridges are dangerous to those who fear change." He walked to a shelf and pulled out a scroll sealed in crystal. "This," he said, "is the full prophecy. It was hidden from the Empire long ago." He opened it and read, "When blood not of stars flows into royal veins, the balance shall tip. The old thrones shall shake. And from 2 lives, one future will rise, bound not by law, but by choice." Ethan looked at Lysera. "That sounds like us." Zethar nodded. "The Empire will try harder now. They will not stop until they silence this future." A sound echoed outside, soft at first, then louder. Zethar moved to the window and looked. "Out. They found us," he said. "Stealth ship. Cloaked. They're here." Lysera stood. "We have to leave." Zethar grabbed a small device and handed it to her. "Take this. It has the location of the ancient chamber. The place where the prophecy began. It may hold the key to what you truly are." "Come with us," Ethan said. Zethar shook his head. "I will delay them. Go now." Ethan hesitated, but Lysera pulled him toward the back. They ran through a narrow hall and out a hidden door into the forest. Behind them, they heard blasts and shouting. Lysera turned to look once, her eyes full. "Of pain he saved us," Ethan said. "Just like I saved you." "And now we keep running," she whispered. "No," Ethan said. "Now we start fighting." They disappeared into the trees. With the device in hand and their path lit by a prophecy, too old to be forgotten and too powerful to ignore. They traveled through space once more, this time following the directions given by Zethar. The old scholar's sacrifice still echoed in their minds, but neither of them spoke about it. Lysera sat quietly, holding the crystal device close to her chest. Ethan watched her from the other side of the shuttle. Her eyes didn't glow as brightly as before, but something deeper had awakened in her. "How far is this ancient chamber?" Ethan asked. Lysera answered without looking at him. "We'll reach the system by morning. The planet is called Valthir. It's not mapped in any Empire charts." Zethar said the first bond was made there, long before the royal families ruled. "The stars." Ethan nodded slowly. "I'm still trying to understand. How is this even possible? How does blood create power?" Lysera finally looked at him. "It's not just the blood. It's what was inside it. It's a piece of something ancient, maybe forgotten, something human and something royal. 2 paths that were never meant to meet, but did." Ship entered orbit around Valthir. The planet below looked wild and untouched. Wide green plains stretched across its surface, and a single glowing mountain stood at the center. Lights moved across its peak. "That must be the place," Lysera said. They landed near the mountain. Soft winds moved through the tall grass. Ash! No cities, no roads. Just pure nature. They walked toward the glowing peak, guided by a strange energy in the air. Right. Lysera felt at first like a gentle pull in her chest. Ethan followed close behind, holding a small scanner, though its screen flashed with errors. Whatever energy surrounded them, it couldn't be measured. At the top of the mountain, hidden beneath a curtain of vines and light, stood a stone gate. The door was covered in symbols. Some matched the royal code. Others were human-like hold. Symbols from Earth's early history. "How is this possible?" Ethan asked. Lysera placed her palm against the center. A golden light moved from her hand into the stone. The door responded with a low hum and slowly opened. Inside was a large, round chamber, built from smooth black stone. The walls showed carvings, two figures, one with stars in their eyes, the other with fire in their chest. They stood together, hand in hand, surrounded by light. In the center of the room was a pedestal. On it rested a crystal sphere, softly. Glowing.lys Era stepped forward. "This is it. It's the heart of the bond." Ethan stayed close. "What do we do?" "I don't know, but I think we have to do it together." They both placed their hands on the sphere. At first, nothing happened. Then slowly, a light grew under their fingers. The room filled with warmth. Images filled the air, memories, visions. Old voices speaking in a forgotten tongue. The chamber showed them a vision. A time when two beings from different stars came together to stop a war. Their bond stopped destruction and brought peace. That bond became the first royal line. But over time, the truth was buried, and the connection to outsiders was forbidden. "It all began here," Lysera whispered. "And now, it begins again." Suddenly, the chamber shook. Loud sounds echoed outside ship's landing. The Empire had found them. Ethan looked at the entrance. "We have to go." "No," Lysera said. "We finish this." The sphere glowed brighter. Their bodies began to rise slightly into the air, surrounded by light. Lysera's eyes turned fully golden, and Ethan felt heat rushing through his veins. They were no longer just human and royal. They had become something more, something bonded beyond blood and bone. Outside, soldiers in black armor moved toward the chamber. The leader, a tall figure with silver armor and red eyes, gave the order. "Take the girl, kill the human." They stormed in, but the moment they entered the chamber, a wave of energy pushed them back. Shields shattered. Weapons broke. Ethan and Lysera stood together, glowing with energy. The old carvings on the walls lit up, one by one. The leader stepped forward again, holding a powerful weapon. "This ends now." Ethan stepped in front of Lysera. "You'll have to go through me, fool," the leader growled. He fired his weapon, but the blast stopped midair. "Tst." Lysera raised her hand and turned the energy back on him. The blast hit his own armor, sending him crashing into the wall. More soldiers ran in, but the chamber itself came alive. The stone moved to block the paths. The energy from the sphere spread through the floor. Lysera turned to Ethan. "This is what we were meant to become. Protectors, changers of fate." "Then let's end this," Ethan said. The light from the sphere shot into the sky through the mountain, like a beacon. Across the galaxy, it was seen by rebels, by scholars, by ordinary people who had always wondered if the old stories were true. The Empire's grip began to shake. Back in the chamber, the last of the soldiers retreated. The leader, wounded, stared at them in fear. "You will break everything," he said. "No," Lysera answered. "We will fix what was broken." The light faded, and they slowly returned to the ground. The chamber was quiet again, but something had changed forever. Ethan looked at her. "What now?" She smiled. "Now we show the galaxy who we are." The mountain no longer looked quiet. From the sky, Golden lights still shined where the old chamber was buried. Clouds circled around it like they feared touching the place. Across the galaxy, that beam of light had been seen, recorded, and whispered about. People spoke of the signal of change, though they didn't know what it meant. But Lysera knew. So did Ethan. They stood at the edge of a cliff, looking down at the forest below. The temple behind them was quiet now, but they could still feel its energy in the air, like the mountain had accepted them, like it had chosen them. Ethan turned toward her. "How long until the Empire sends another group?" "Not long," Lysera said, "but this time we won't be alone." She tapped a small communicator. It blinked with a new signal, coded but clear. Small rebel cells, hidden voices, and quiet friends across systems had begun to reply. People were asking for truth. They were ready to listen. "They know something has changed," Lysera said softly, "and they want to believe it." Ethan nodded. "So, what do we do now? Lead a war?" "No," she said. "We lead a movement." They left the mountain that day with more than knowledge. They carried power, real power that came not from weapons or politics, but from the bond they had formed. It had started with blood, but it had become something deeper, something no empire could erase. Back in space, they reached their ship again. The shuttle had been repaired by a few locals, who said nothing but bowed their heads in respect. The people of Valthier had known the old stories. They understood without words. As the ship rose into the sky, Lysera activated the navigation system. It didn't set a path toward Earth or the Empire's capital. Instead, she sent a message out into the stars, to all who feel forgotten. To those who fear their voices are small, we see you, and we are not afraid anymore. The message spread quietly at first, carried by whispers and back channels, but it grew. People across worlds, miners, students, old captains, and even some inside the Empire listened and felt something stir inside their hearts. Some called Lysera the new queen. Others called Ethan the bridge. Most didn't even use names. They just knew something powerful had begun, and they waited. A week later, as their ship drifted near a neutral zone, 3 larger vessels appeared. 2 were old warships from forgotten systems. One was an old exploration cruiser. They hailed Lysera's ship. "We received your message," the voice said, "and we believe." Lysera and Ethan looked at each other. Rebellion had begun not with guns, but with truth. Deep in the Empire's council chamber, cold silence filled the air. The red-robed elders stared at a screen showing the light from Valthier. The leader, a tall figure with silver eyes, stood at the front. "We told them it was just a myth," he said. "We erased the records. We erased the names. But the bloodline has awakened again." Another elder spoke. "Do we send the fleet?" "No," the leader replied. "If we strike now, we'll prove the prophecy is true, and more will follow them. So what do? We wait and we watch. They will rise, or they will fall under their own hope." On a small desert moon, an old woman watched the stars. She wore human clothes, but had alien eyes. Beside her sat a child with silver skin. "Grandmother," the child asked, "is it true? Did the human really save the princess?" The old woman smiled. "Yes, little one. And because of that, the stars now whisper a different song." "Will I ever see them?" "Maybe," she said. Back aboard their ship, Ethan stood at the window again, just as he had when it all started. The stars looked the same, but he didn't feel like the same man. He had been a nobody. Now he was part of something impossible. Lysera joined him. Her presence calm and warm. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Not for a second," he said. She smiled. "Good, because this is only the beginning. So what now?" Ethan asked. "Where do we go?" She pointed to a distant system on the map. "To the next world that needs hope?" They stood there in silence for a moment, just 2 souls brought together by fate. Blood and choice. Outside their ship, the stars didn't know what had changed. But across the galaxy, people began to believe in something again, because of a throne, or a weapon, or a law, but because a human once bled to save an alien princess, and what followed defied logic. It felt like destiny.